Shalom. On the start of souls by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Kakodash, double honors to the Apostle, Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers doing the work, the Most High, in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's raw name, if you know what ignorant calls God, Jehovah, or Yahweh. His raw name is Yahweh, and the Son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba meaning in, Ha meaning that, and Sham meaning name. So real quick, I'd seen this earlier on, right? And what I'd said in the message was he won't be the only one, right? And it's true, and it's something that the Spirit's been kind of having me touch on since with all of these layoffs at all of these very high paying companies, because the salaries that for instance in tech, the salaries that US tech bros, if we call them that, get paid is insane in comparison to what is paid over here in the UK, right? So this is what you call a staff level engineer. So staff level, if we go to here, E3, this is what Facebook calls, this is their internal naming or whatever, what have you. But a staff level is here, right? E6, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let me just confirm that E6. I had it. There was a website that I had a couple of seconds ago, but yeah, I do believe it to be E6, right? Which is a staff level. So when you look at this, the breakdown of what this particular individual was getting, $247,000 a year. On top of that, you would have been getting roughly 238,000 in stock grants every year, and a bonus of I say this jokingly, a measly $37,000, right? But I say it jokingly just because when you compare these other two, you see what was going on there, right? So you're seeing these numbers. So that's what this particular individual was thinking. He was thinking everything was going to continue on in the same way, and ultimately that is exactly what the majority of these people do. So Psalms 49:11 says their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Right. So this is from Unusual Wells on Twitter, and this particular individual posts a lot of interesting stuff. Salakia, all right. So it's titled "Laid Off and Can't Pay Mortgage." Hi, last year I bought a $1.5 million home in the Queen Anne area in Seattle. Right, my monthly payment is around $8,500. Right, the unexpected happened a few months ago, and I was laid off from my job at Meta, where I was a staff level engineer. Right, but it's like that's saying I ain't been having issues until to want to start a video, then saying wants to jump in, right? So it says I was laid off from my job at Meta, where I was staff level engineer. So, and yes, it says it was unexpected, right? But to us, we expect these things to happen. Why? Because the prophecies speak on these things, which we'll get one in a second, right? And even in terms of just general mentality, so one of my favorites on this matter, right, is understanding exactly what time we're in, but also how to carry ourselves, because brothers might have whatever it is that they have, but it's the understanding that actually this is all temporal, right? It's just Second Ezra 16. I'm going to start from verse 40. Oh, my people, hear my word and make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon earth, right? So I might be living at a place, but Aki might live at a place, and then know that one day they may have to dip from that place, right? In fact, when you read verse 70, it says they shall cast you out of their houses, right? It says, he that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose, right? So knowing that anything that we buy, that we get, or whatever, what have you, hell, even our so-called loved ones, right? If you brothers have a woman or whatever, what have you, knowing that she's here, not born, all hell breaks loose. What she gonna do? Right, he that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth is one that will lose. He that occupieth merchandise as he that hath no profit by it, and he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein. He that soweth as if he should not reap, so also he that planteth the vineyard as he that shall not gather the grapes. Right, they that marry as they that shall get no children, and they that marry not as the widowers. Right, it says, and therefore they that labor in vain. Right, because even just on that point, just made me think of this precept here. This is Computers 3 and 11. It says, seeing then all those things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought you to be in all holy conversation and godliness. Right, so it's just understanding that everything's going to burn. It's like, how do we carry ourselves? Right, hey, you might once again might get yourself a nice car or whatever, what have you, right? But knowing it's gonna come a time when there ain't gonna be no petrol to put in that car, all of these different things, right? Whatever it is that we may or may not get, just understanding that there's gonna come a time when it ain't gonna be there or fulfill its purpose anymore, right? So that's why, for instance, scripture says, sorry, another one, Isaiah 33:6, it says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thine times, and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure. Right? So having knowledge and wisdom helps us make better decisions. It helps us make wise decisions. Right? Because I just can't, eight and a half grand a month. That's thinking you're just gonna keep going on in the Facebook, what's the word I'm looking for? The Facebook hierarchy. They're just gonna keep on going up. Right? I bet he had done the math to basically see how long it would take for him to pay that off. Right? So in fact, let's just do that together. So 8,500 times 12. Right? That's 102,000 a year. Right, so basically he would have paid off this house. Oh, but he says, in fact, he's gonna say, says, I really needed help. I really need help because I depleted most of my cash in the down payment for my house, and I can't afford the monthly anymore without a job. Right, so hey, he may have said, what, I'm gonna have this house paid off in 10 years, or whatever, what have you. Okay, since I've applied to more than 50 companies, I've put out more than 500 applications, but I can't get an offer for the life of me. Right now, what he's actually saying, me reading between the lines, I get the vibe of when women are like, oh, I can't find any man, this that, and the other. It's like, no, you can find a man, but it's just the man, not a man that you want. Right. Once again, when you got outages of 8.5 grand, right? You need a job that's gonna, pay a lot. Right? You need a job that's gonna pay more than $102,000 a year, because once again, $102,000 is only gonna cover your a mortgage. What about your tax? Right, federal tax, state tax. What about your general living expenses, utilities, whatever, what have you, right? So he really would need a house, rather a job that's paying like $150,000, right? Now once again, that them U.S. tech jobs pay funny money, so but just goes to show. Since I've thought, and this is the kick as well, I've thought about selling my house and moving in with friends, but I've lost so much money in house value I can't justify it, right? Unusual World says this can't be good. For more market reliability, he shields the channel, right? And that's it, right? He won't be the only one. You had what's however many thousands of job cuts in the tech sector, and as we've seen just here, just at Facebook, an entry level software developer, so a junior developer, is earning $183,000. Right, in the UK, you'd be getting, maybe, I think you may be happy with like 30 or 40K as an entry level, if that. Because I know like a staff level, so this E6, that's maybe like 100 ish K. But in the US, that's, at Facebook at least, that's 523. It's insane, right? Now this is James 5 is mainly really talking about the elites, But it says, "I go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it will fire. You have reaped treasures for the last days." And once again, this is mainly talking about the elites, right? But ultimately, all of these people losing their jobs, and in these elites' quest for the new world order, right, for this new system that they're trying to set up, right, they gonna be through too, right? They're gonna be through too. Right? All of these different riches that they've, because what you're effectively seeing is yet another wealth transfer to these elites. But what does the scripture say? Scripture says, that these elites shall vomit up the riches that they have. When we go and take them, all that gold that these elites have stolen over the years, right? All that silver, right? The elites, we go and get it. As Ecclesiastes 12:3, in the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the windows, look out of the windows, be darkened, and the doors shall be shut. So let's break some of this down, right? And grinders cease because they are few. So there's going to become less jobs, right? And as they roll out this AI more and more and more, right? Because let's always remember, all of this AI stuff, this is the corporate AI, right? We have no idea what the hell is happening with the private stuff that that we don't get to hear about, right? The ones that the military's working on, right? So there's going to be a whole load of jobs that are going to become redundant very, very soon. So it says, and the ground is ceased because they are few. So lots of joblessness. So all of these companies cutting costs, right? And that's, they say, actually one of the bits of information, rather opinions that I heard, that I agree with in regards to the whole Elon Musk buying Twitter, right? Is the main people complaining were people at these other companies, at your Facebooks, at your Google, at your Netflixes, whatever, right? That were, basically they were like, look, if Twitter succeeds, then it basically shows all of these other companies that you can actually make a profit and make a good product with so much less people, right? Because there was a lot of overheads, right? So continuous, and those that look out the windows be darkened. And this is talking about these financial forecasters, right? Look what he titled this, right? Oh no, right? This can't be good. Yikes. So it says, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And 1 Timothy 6:17, charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, right? And that's a note to us, not to trust in uncertain riches, right? Not to trust in uncertain riches. And once again, just always keeping in mind that the Lord is about to take this place out, right? The financial system's about to be changed. So getting all what's the word I'm looking for, basically having 8.5 grand right, and thinking that the cash is always going to be there, it's probably not the wisest thing to do, right? 8.5 grand a month, right? The cash ain't always going to be there, right? But that's the point, nor trust in uncertain riches. It says, but in the living God, because that's where the real riches are, right? It says, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy, right? So trust in the Most High, and may the Lord speed up this the demise and fall of this kingdom, right? So as always, laws with us edifying. Until the next time we say shalom.